right, we found ourselves back over here with the daily Kaupen Yap number 3 over here in this case. And I am not breaking any rules, but this is recorded immediately after the second one. Now, one of the reasons is because I feel a little bit inspired right now. And number 2, why the heck not, right? I said that it's supposed to be roughly daily action. It doesn't have to be necessarily every day. But I actually do want to talk about something, and that is at the end of, or in general, right, the last daily Yap, what happened was that I actually re-recorded it twice because I didn't like where it was going. And then I made a few more notes, and I think that's actually a very good lesson. However, I do think that right now I can yap for just 10 minutes and get through this without any additional notes. But if not, that's fine as well. So the idea was, I was like, is this actually valuable to someone? Because we talked about value in the very first episode already, and I was thinking about it. I was like, well, it does come down to value, right? Like, let's say, what do I have? Let's see here. Business starts with value. That is a very true statement, but I actually have something else. So everything you create should be created with value in mind, right? So you can ask a couple of questions. Who will get what type of value from this? And value can come, like I've previously mentioned, in such a variety of forms. Let's talk about videos, for example, just in this instance. It can be educational. There can be motivational. It can be instructional, which I think is slightly different from motivational. And it could be, I don't even know. It could be, there are so many more different ways that you could be valuable. Entertaining, you could be entertaining, right? Or you could be all sorts of those things at the same time. It could be distracting, which is an interesting shift where you're like, is distracting really a type of value? Well, maybe, someone is going through something and they're like, you know what, I'm just going to put this on to distract myself. So there are so many different types of value that could be, let's say, just for videos, right? That could be inside of videos. That's fascinating to me. And to relate it back to last day's episode, so yesterday's episode, I thought at the end, I was like, is there really like enough value in here? And it's not necessarily imposter syndrome. I also think imposter syndrome is a little bit of it's like a very modern phrase of like not feeling good enough or just sort of, being, I don't know. It's a weird term, but everyone knows this at this point probably. And it's like, it's just sort of like, I think that people will realize this is not, I'm not competent in an area, and that's what imposter syndrome is, even though if it might not be true. And I was like, man, is this like really valuable? But then I thought back and I was like, well, even if it isn't, that's fine as well. Because what I said in the very beginning, I'm going to come in here with no expectations of whether or not it's good or bad, or anyone is listening really. Because I'm trying to do all sorts of different things. That's why I'm talking about literally anything that comes to mind, basically. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's necessarily valuable or not. And there might also be a mismatch. So I've done videos before where I thought, man, this is like such a good video. I'm super proud of this. It's going to be so good. I watched it back. I was like, this is so entertaining. This is absolutely amazing. So I was like, this is super valuable, right? Because I thought that it was super valuable. Then you publish the video and it gets 30 views and you're like, okay, maybe I overestimated the value of the video. Now, there might be some amount of outside forces, right? The algorithm pushed it to the wrong audience, all sorts of things that could theoretically happen that basically distort, let's say, the outcome. But in general, I think it roughly is right? It roughly shows, okay. And one huge thing, oh my god, I wanted to say scroll back in my binder, because I write down stuff on like actual paper. I know, it's pretty crazy. I might be able to get it. Is this it? No, it's not. Okay. Then I have to think with my brain about it. No, I have found it. Okay. So this is true. So this is especially in the virtual domain, but I think it does apply to almost anything. And the idea is that the quality of the production doesn't always translate into the quality of the product. We can reformulate this a little bit, and we can say that the value of the production, right? So the production value doesn't always translate into the value of the product. That means, let's say I have a studio where I have, you know, 3 cameras that are all worth $10,000, and I have a lighting setup that's worth $20,000, and like a crazy thing, right? That's high, like super high production value. But that does not necessarily translate. Like if I sit in front of the camera and I just say, blah, 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 I mean, listen, okay? In today's day and age, that might actually turn into the next skibbity toilet. So you know what? Disregard. But you know what I mean? If I just say gibberish in front of the camera for 10 minutes a day, I don't think it would necessarily do as well as if I actually did something proper and I had some value in another way, right? I teach people something, or yeah, let's say I teach people something, right? That would probably turn into a more valuable product, even if the quality or the value of the production is not as high. And I think that there's no correlation here is super fascinating, right? So it could turn into, let's say, all of the videos that we're doing over here. It could be the case that you can probably argue this is a very low production value, right? Once again, I'm okay with that. That's pretty much what it is, right? I literally just record gameplay while I play Minecraft a little bit, right? From like some days. I just like play an hour of Minecraft, I record that, and I take a 10-minute segment of that, put it into Premiere Pro. I record this with literally a black screen video, right? Like it's just a black screen video recording, and I then just get the audio from this, put it into Premiere Pro, cut in the beginning, cut in the end after 10 minutes. If it's in the middle of the sentence, it's in the middle of the sentence. Like I said, I'm going to be ruthless with that. It might change at some point, the length, but not for a while. And there you go. So the entire, like the production is sort of almost the entire opposite of what we've tried in some other capacities, because we've done a couple of videos with a little bit more or higher production value, basically. But you know, it sort of shows that it really does not equate. Like there's like a bit of a proportionality, but I don't think so. I really think that it actually all comes down to mostly the value in the end product. So if you have a better setup, it only really works if that actually makes the end product better in terms of it delivers the value better. So it's a very, I've been thinking about this for a while. So there's a couple of things that are super interesting. And I don't know. I don't know really how to square it or what the lesson is right here. Maybe the lesson here is just to think about everything that I've said so far, right? That just because, yeah, so the idea is just because you put in a lot of work doesn't mean that the end goal of it is also going to be worthwhile, let's say, right? You could shovel dirt from, yeah, you can shovel dirt from a hole to make a pile, and then put the piled up dirt back into the hole. That was a lot of work, but it didn't achieve anything, right? So I think that sort of, what would you say, the separation there could be quite important to think about. And I don't know, I'm going to try to think about more about the end product rather than just the production. And also, sometimes you have to actually just go in and be like, you know what? I don't think this is valuable, but maybe someone else will think it's valuable. I had this happen before with a game development channel that I had, where I had this, like, where I tried out different game development engines, and I had like super imposter syndrome, and it turned out that people really enjoyed watching them, but I was just like, no, I don't see any value. So sometimes the value mismatch doesn't happen where you think it's high value and then the market says it's low value. Sometimes you think it's low value and others think it's high value. So keep that in mind as well. But that's going to be it for today's episode. Talk